Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, the podcast that brings you people's stories and ideas about how we can work to reframe our relationship, not just with alcohol, but with stress, anxiety, relationships, enjoyment, and so much more. Because changing our relationship with alcohol is about so much more than changing the contents of our glass. This podcast is brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. My name is Kevin Bellack. I'm a certified professional recovery coach and the head of coaching at the Reframe app.
And I'm Emma Simmons. I'm a reframer, a certified life coach, and thrive coach with Reframe. Hola.
Hola. Jeez, that took a few takes to get through that paragraph.
Sometimes I think when you've read the same thing over and over again for so long, your brain just, I don't know, switches off, doesn't pay attention, and you're left to your own devices.
That's how it started, and then snowballed from there with me trying not to laugh at myself and all kinds of stuff. So this episode is starting off great.
This episode is brought to you by ADHD.
Yes, as they all are, but we are 9 minutes into recording, and we've been on for much longer than that talking about these things, and we're just starting out. So it's going to be a good show. We worked out all the kinks, right?
Did we? How long? Predictions. How long before we go off on a tangent? We've already gone off on a tangent.
Yeah.
That was 30 seconds in.
That was about, a minute and 30 in. Is it a tangent, though, if I meant to do it? Yes, I think it still is.
Maybe we should take bets from our listeners on like how long before one of us derails the episode.
Yeah.
Like for the next one, we'll do a poll. How long before Emma derails?
Yeah, or who takes us off on the most tangents in an episode. But with that in mind, let's get back to what are we talking about today?
Dry July. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, this will be released on July 4th. So dry July, damp July underway. And July 4th here in the US is a holiday. I believe Canada had Tuesday was their holiday, maybe Canada Day. I might be making that up. I should probably search that beforehand.
I'm sure. I don't know if it was Canada Day, but it was like a national holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, it's like the mid-season, since you're not in summer, kind of break, right?
Yeah, actually, my kids are on school holidays as well. It's our winter break.
Oh, okay.
2 weeks of sitting at home while it's raining outside. Yay.
2 weeks of sitting at home while it's raining outside. Yes, I was correct. It is Canada Day. I knew that. But I doubted myself. Yeah, so what's the temperature there? I don't know why we always go with this, but
fecking cold is what the temperature is. I don't even know. My watch isn't telling me.
Is it though?
It's not like Ohio cold. It's New Zealand cold. It's Auckland cold. I don't even know where to find what the temperature is. I've got all the technology and nothing's telling me. I don't know. Let's go 10 degrees.
All right, that's 50 Fahrenheit. That's like my perfect temperature. 50s is amazing.
Like, you got to have socks on temperature, or else your toes going to go purple.
Maybe if I go outside. That being said, like it's always 71 in here, which to do the quick conversion is 21.6 Celsius.
Oh yeah, that's about what our aircon is set at, or our heat pump.
Yeah.
22-ish.
Yeah, as I said, I don't leave the house, so it's always 21 in here. It's always 71 in here.
That's lovely.
But I know, regardless of what season we're in, it's always good, I think, to talk about socializing. But here, summer brings its own socializing with the hotter weather. I'm guessing your socializing is a little bit different, but maybe not. You're not like a shut-in like me when it's a couple feet of snow and freezing temperatures outside in the winter here.
Not where I am. Actually, I don't know if we ever get a couple of feet of snow anywhere in New Zealand, to be fair. I don't think it's not. I don't know. I don't go to the snow. I don't go that far south. But you guys, I was thinking about dry July in New Zealand. It's like winter. It's hibernation time. You can totally. Kevin's giving me
Did I
You
distract
said
you?
I'm talking too loud. Now I've lost my train of thought.
No, I was like, put your mic up a little bit closer to your mouth.
To my mouth. There?
There we go. I think it's better.
Okay. I thought you were saying pull it down, and I was like, oh. Okay, anyway. Sorry, guys, tangent.
Wait.
You're welcome. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
What was I saying?
Yeah, what are the odds that we get back on track with that?
Oh, so
We're talking about New Zealand
in
socializing.
dry July in New Zealand.
Socializing. What do you do with your hands? No.
So in New Zealand, dry July is in the middle of winter, so it's hibernation time. You can totally avoid social situations and going out. There aren't as many parties. No one wants to go out when it's wet. Winter is very wet in New Zealand, lots of rain. So I feel like the events aren't all that big, but dry July in America, in the Northern Hemisphere, I mean, in America, you've got 4th of July, which is your big party weekend, right? So,
I mean, it's usually because you have in the U.S., we have Memorial Day at the end of May, Labor Day at the first Sunday or first Monday, I guess, of September. So this is like right in the center. Probably optimal weather for people, not me, but optimal weather for people. And yeah, this is when people, I heard somebody today, like if you live close to a lake, you're going to the lake or something like that type of thing where people, get out and celebrate in some way, usually outdoors, usually with fireworks, and just enjoy the weather and the time off.
Yeah. So how do you do that without socializing and getting outside is so well connected with alcohol?
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you navigate dry July when, like your first weekend is a freaking party day or a party weekend? That's rough.
Yeah, it is.
I feel for you guys.
Yeah. And I know we take that into account when doing our challenge outlines for July, because it's okay. The 3rd, let's try and immediately, because if we're doing dry or damp January, we're not necessarily focused on the 3rd about socializing right then. Usually it's after holidays and everybody is
winding down.
Yeah. Versus now it's okay. Dry July starts. Boom.
And you're in the thick of it straight away.
And just watch out. Just shove you right in there. And it's tough to. One of the biggest things I know that I always like to share when we have these types of months where we do challenges like Sober October, Dry January, Damp January. My wife's calling me to ask me what I want at Target.
Colin Broom? Oh no, that's at Walmart, I think. Swedish fish. No, actually, they're not that great. I will take.
This is your list?
Yeah.
I was like, Swedish fish. I'm like, no, my Coach V won't like that if I
doesn't let you do Swedish
fish.
There were these yum like cherry cream candies. They were delicious. It was like a cherry licorice with like a cream something inside. They were good.
Cherry licorice. Oh yeah. Cherry licorice with the cream inside. There's like Airhead Extremes or Airhead Bites. There's other licorice with bites. Yeah, there's a bunch of different brands that do that.
It's really good in America. Saltwater taffy. We don't get that in New Zealand. I bought a massive bag from whatever bulk food store we were in, and it is all gone within a month.
Did your jaw get ripped from that?
It's the strongest part of my body now.
That's I don't know. I'll eat saltwater taffy just because I'll eat anything sugary. Okay. She was just checking to see. I saw the text and she called, just checking to see if I wanted anything. I'm like, I don't know. Here, I'll say surprise me. Surprise me.
I'm going to say I don't know, but then if you come home with nothing, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah. And if she comes home with something that I'm like, oh, I'm not eating that anymore. She'd be like, damn it, you're eating it now.
That's like a child when they are hyperfixated on bananas are their favorite food. And then you bring home bananas, they're like, I don't like bananas anymore.
Oh yeah. My daughter is hyperfixated on bananas at the moment. She makes pancakes with them. She makes bananas and oats, I think. She does smoothies and all that. Like, We went grocery shopping on a Sunday. It was Tuesday morning, and we're like, there's no bananas. My wife's like, we got 10 bananas. What's going on here? So now we have a ton of bananas, and my daughter's away this week. So
Awesome. Turn that into a banana bread.
Yeah.
Banana loaf.
Yep.
Banana muffins.
All right.
You can actually peel them and freeze them, and then you can put them in smoothies later.
Yeah, I have heard of that. So these are all things that you can do in Try July, right? Are we keeping this in?
Yeah, may as well.
Having snacks, having the things that you enjoy is definitely something to have, especially on a holiday. What were we talking about, though? We were talking about like the social aspect of, so we were talking about starting off with day 4 of Dry July, and with all of those dry, damp January, dry, damp July, sober October, all those types of things. If you slip up in some way, who cares? Keep going. Now, I don't say who cares to give you permission to slip up and be like, it's the 4th of July. Like, challenge yourself. But that doesn't mean that if you slip up, if you have a drink, if you drink more than you intend to, depending on what your goal is and what you're doing, that you can't just come back on July 5th and start over, or 6th or 7th. It's what can you learn from a month like this, I think, is always important. And it doesn't end just because you're not perfect.
Yeah, you don't just, if you do slip up or you do make a mistake, it doesn't mean that you throw the whole challenge out.
Yeah.
And just go, no, screw it. Didn't work, not going to do it. You go, oh crap, that was really hard. Okay, let's try again. What happened? Why? How did I slip up? Why did I slip up?
Yep.
What was it? Was I ill prepared for that socializing event? Did I not plan ahead? Did I not, going back to the tools that we talk about so often, of have a plan? What are you going to drink? Cool, you're not going to drink alcohol? Awesome. What are you going to drink?
What are you
going to have banana smoothies? Are you going to have soda water? Are you going to have Diet Coke? Are you going to have Celsius? Probably don't try and have 6 Celsius in one evening. That's probably not going to end well. Just thinking about that caffeine.
I made that mistake recently, and by recently, like maybe a year ago, where we went to a concert and I took Avery and her friends. It was over a year ago, but it was a concert. It was at night, so it was a small venue. 8, 9. They went on at 9. So I had a Red Bull right around 8, and then I was going to get her and her friends some drinks, and I got another Red Bull at 10. And usually caffeine does not matter to me, but those two that night, I might have even had a third, which might have been the issue, because I might have had one earlier. And it was like 2 a.m. I was up.
Still partying.
Usually I sleep right through that, but for some reason that night, I don't know if I was amped up from the concert, but yeah. Choose wisely with what you're having too.
In New Zealand, we would say have a whakaaro, which is have a think.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. Whakaaro, Whakaro. Whakaaro.
WH, okay.
Yeah, WH is
that started with an F.
It's like an F. Depending on which part of New Zealand you're from, you'll say it as a F or a W. So there's a town or a small city in New Zealand called Wanganui, but it's Whanganui. Some people say Whanganui, some people say Wanganui. Anyway, another tangent. Great. Yeah, have a think about what you are going to drink. How are you going to, what's in your toolkit? What are you going to drink? What are you going to eat? Yeah. What's your exit plan? How are you getting there? How are you getting home? Who are you going with? Who's your wingman, wingwoman, wing person? Do you have one?
Sit there and pet the dog the whole time.
Wing kids, hang out with the kids. Kids are hilarious. At a party like that where you can, I don't know, blow bubbles, play hide and seek, play, what do you guys do on 4th of July? Cornhole?
Yeah, I threw out cornhole before. Yeah, cornhole is big around here. Everybody has the boards, and not everybody, but I'm trying to think of what else, like outdoor. There's that game with the ladder game with the golf balls on the string that you throw and it has to wrap around like the ladder or something. I don't know. Horseshoes, bocce ball.
What?
Oh yeah.
What?
I think it's like ladder ball. I think it's called.
Google that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let me check ladder ball and see if that's a thing.
But yeah, hang out with the kiddos. They're a fun time. And I think all the other parents that are full force into the drinking are going to appreciate having a sober or soberish parent to adult to entertain and play with the kids. And it's fun.
That being said, I'm gonna take the rebuttal or the opposition on this one. They're not your kids. Just because you're not drinking, you're not responsible for them. So I'm just going to throw that out there too. That's where like the boundaries come in. Oh, you're not drinking? Go ahead. Yeah. Can you check on them?
You can babysit the kids.
That's your kids. I'll make sure I won't let them do unsafe things if I see it, but I'm not going to hang out. But I do. It is an option, right?
Yeah.
But as you were saying,
I will be available to call the ambulance if if your child does something silly.
Yeah. While I have done that. Like when I focus on like, hey, what are you guys doing? Go hang out with my daughter, go see what she's doing with her friends or whatever. But yeah, I also draw the line at some point. Yeah, I'm not I don't know.
I'm not putting your kids to bed. I'm not making sure that they eat a healthy meal. That's on you.
Oh no. If I'm responsible for that, they're getting Swedish Fish and Red Bulls.
A whole can of Coke for themselves.
Yeah. Be like, I don't care. If you're not my kid, I don't care what you eat. Yeah. Yeah.
You can have candy floss for dinner.
Yeah. So there you go. That's something else to do. But I think what are we calling the title of this episode? What do I do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands?
Like Ricky Bobby. But yeah, what do I do with my hands? I know that having I called it my security blanket, my Bubba. Is what I called it, my Bubba. And now there is a Bubba, I think, thermos or like a kind of a big keg looking like drink holder, which I used to have, but I'm thinking more of the blankie type of security blanket.
Safety.
And I always had my Yeti with me with the can holder where I just popped a can in there and whatever I wanted, non-alcoholic. And yeah, so like just having that thing in your hand, because typically nobody is checking that as the day goes on too. We'd be so worried about it, but as the day goes on, think about how we hang out and somebody gets up because they want to drink. Anybody need anything? Anybody need anything? Good. And you can just be like, oh, I'm good. Thing could be empty. It doesn't matter. But yeah, sometimes it's just having that thing in my hand. Also, having those excuses of, it's not even an excuse really. It's, oh no, my drink's over there. Or, I don't know what I want right now. I'm thirsty. Can you give me a water? Stuff like that. Just, again, I think I overthought everything. So I don't want to speak for everybody, but I overthought everything. Okay, what do I say if this person says this? What do I say if this person says that? And what I learned quickly is that nobody cares for the most part.
Yes. Yeah, yes and no. I've actually recently just had 2 clients who told me some really shitty experiences where they were out at an event, at a function, and their mates, their friends, the bros, were going, oh, what, you're not drinking? Oh, come on, just come, have one. What's the point?
Just one. Yeah.
Just kept going all night to the point where I had to get quite forceful with them. And I was like, that's a really shitty situation, and I'm really sorry that you had to experience that. That hasn't been my experience so far. I don't think, I think maybe the most I've got is are you sure you don't want one? No, I'm good. I'm fine, thanks. I'm doing dry July, or I'm doing a 30-day challenge, or I'm doing 1,000 hours dry. And they go, okay, cool. So I personally haven't experienced that pressure and that like badgering, but it is out there.
And I shouldn't say it like I did, where I'm like, nobody cares. I think on the
nobody
whole,
nobody cares tomorrow what you were or weren't drinking. Nobody probably cares in an hour or so what you were or weren't drinking.
Yeah, they will forget. But you're right, and that's the thing. You probably know who are the people who are going to be like that too, though. I could have named any like 1 or 2 people. Probably would have been me to some degree. I usually wasn't an ass like that, but I was like, it depends on who it was. If it was like my brother or something, I probably would have given him shit.
It was that asshole for sure.
Yeah, but it was more of a joking around type of thing, and then it stopped. And that's what I see a lot of is, okay, people push a little bit just to be like, oh, because that's what we do. We just have these canned responses. Like when you see someone drinking a non-alcoholic beer, oh, what's the point? It's because I like the taste of it and it's hot out and I want something different. That's the point.
Something satisfying. Yeah.
It can be that simple of a response.
I think you made a good point of you normally going into an event, and this is, I guess, part of the preparation of going to an event and being prepared. What are you going to drink? What are you going to eat? How are you going to get home? Of going prepared, being like, okay, I think these people are going to be there, and this person will support Dry July. This person might give me a bit of shit. So what's my response going to be? How am I going to navigate this? And going in with kind of an idea or a preparation. Not like you don't have to write yourself a thesis on how you're going to respond to these people. Perhaps a couple of pre-prepared responses that you can throw out of doing Dry July. It's a thing with work and we're really competitive, and it doesn't have to be a thing with work. It can just be that you're actually just doing Dry July by yourself and you're challenging yourself. Or it's a thing with my gym and we're really competitive, so I'm going to win the challenge and there's $1,000 on the line, or I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever story it is, come up with some kind of preset response of how to shut that person down. And I guess it depends on how confident you are with your journey. You and I are both confident enough with our journey now that we can go into an event and proudly show everyone our alcohol-free beer or wine and be like, this is great. Have you tried it? It's got no alcohol and it tastes amazing. I feel great. And just
I usually don't do that because I don't want people drinking my stuff.
Get your own.
They can have some, but I'm not going to broadcast it.
Yeah. But yeah, it depends on how comfortable you are. You may want to hide your can in a Yeti or decant into another container or whatever. Or you may be confident enough to go in and just, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
And what?
And it's, because it's easy, like you said, we're confident enough that, I don't care at all anymore. If someone's going to say something, it's, sure, you want to do this? Let's talk.
Yeah, let's chat.
Like, I don't care. Okay, but I don't go broadcasting it or anything like that either, because I don't want to be that person who's talking about that stuff. And I try not to, because everybody else, I'm around people who drink still, and it's fine. I don't want to be that guy that all that.
Did you know that alcohol causes 7 types of cancer? And did you know that alcohol? Blah, 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 blah.
Now it's like people know that, and
guy.
It's that risk. That Swedish fish and causes whatever. There's that risk involved. I'm not comparing alcohol to Swedish fish either, but I'm just saying it's not good for you. Because I was gonna mention like that confidence, and I'll say it took a while for me to realize that most people, I'll say, obviously, don't care. And most people are like, oh, okay. It's a non-event. In a setting like this, I would be over, let's say if I go to my brother's pool. If I go over to my brother's pool and he has friends over that I know and I'm friends with, and we're talking, they don't know that I'm doing this, they might call me out. Really? You're not drinking? What's going on? And I could just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing Dry July. And it could be that something with work. Now, one thing I did say to people at work was, if it was like happy hour or whatever, it was, oh, I'm doing this competition with my brother, and it's the first one who drinks pays up, and I'm not going to be the one that pays up. My brother has no idea that I said that to anybody. He didn't know that was going on, and I'm still waiting for my winnings, by the way.
But he had no idea he was in a competition about.
He owes me. He has a pool though, so I guess we'll call it even. It's just like making that stuff up. And I went down the route of, I'm on antibiotics. And what I found, this happened one time, and ever since then I'm like, nope, can't use that one anymore, because someone was like, oh, what are you taking? What's it for? And I actually researched it. I actually researched what antibiotics I was on, and I just said something that I was on. Actually, what I said I was on, I'm actually allergic to, so that was funny too. But I said that, and they're like, oh, all of a sudden everybody becomes a doctor, and oh, you can drink on that, it's fine because blah 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 blah. I'm like, really? Yeah, I took them not too long ago, and I had to look that up. And I'm like, okay, I'm not using that one anymore. Let's just
See,
stick with the
being on
easiest.
antibiotics and that never stopped me
Oh, I always
drinking.
drink
That
on
would not,
antibiotics.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would not fly with any of the people that I know. They'd be like, whatever.
Yeah. Again, I was using that for work, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it is just what's the reason that you're doing this challenge in the first place? I think it has to come back to that. And think about it. What's the reason that there's a reason why if you're doing this, not everybody's gonna be doing this, but you can use this for any kind of change that you're making, especially surrounding alcohol, right? Is like, why do I need to make this change? Why do I want to make this change? And really lean into that. There's a reason that maybe you started Dry or Damn July to reduce alcohol, and that's maybe summer started off heavy with it, or it's just that time of year that's a good time to reset. Maybe you were doing well at the beginning of the year and it's shifted, or who knows, 50 million different scenarios here.
Different options. Yeah.
But yeah, what is that reason, and how can you use that in your, whether it's health, maybe you had issues recently, just I was having trouble with my sleep. So I said that. I've told people, I said, I haven't shared this. I shared something about my doctor once, but saying something to take a break. But I didn't share this myself. But I've told people, like, you having issues with your sleep, and they actually went and talked to their doctor. I'm like, your doctor told you not to drink for the next 10 days because of a sleep study that you're doing, or that you're going to do, and you need to set a baseline and blah, blah, blah. Make something up.
Yeah. One of the reasons, let's say, I started getting really stiff joints, and I started getting sciatica. So I was getting this rash over my knuckles to the point where I couldn't pick up a cup of tea, cup of coffee. And so that when you do the research about arthritis, alcohol's a huge aggravating factor. And so that was one of my reasons. So health was one of my reasons, which was an easier thing to talk about than my mental health is in the absolute gutter, and I was suicidal, and I was horrifically unwell mentally. It was easier to say my joints are sore and I can't pick up a cup of coffee, because everyone goes, oh, you gotta have coffee. Yeah, sure. Let's give up alcohol for a couple of weeks and then you can get back to it.
Yeah.
So having that reason, which wasn't untrue, but it wasn't the whole truth, was really helpful for me. I was just thinking, real quick tangent. I remember, so before I got sober this time around, the time that stuck, I was alcohol free. It would have been February-ish. Yeah, it was summer. It was at a friend's wedding. And I'd only been alcohol free for maybe a week. Like, it was so early in, and I was going to this wedding, and they had bartender making cocktails. It was a big, flashy wedding, and the bartender was able to make mocktails as well. But I felt so uncomfortable. I thought everyone was looking at me. I thought I was the only one drinking mocktails. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know how to dance, which sounds weird because you can dance with or without alcohol, but everything felt so foreign to me. And I reflect on now, I had such a hard time. I went and sat in the car, and my husband got pretty shitty with me. He was like, you're being an absolute sad sack. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just like, I was an absolute party pooper, and I feel really bad that I ruined that party for my husband. But yeah, reflecting, it was bloody hard.
Yeah.
That feeling awkward. No one at the wedding would have had any idea that I wasn't drinking. No one at the wedding would have given a shit. They probably noticed that I was being a sad sack. Now when I go to an event, yeah, you're allowed to be a sad sack. But reflecting now with a couple of years under my belt, when I go to an event or I go to a party, I'm the first on the dance floor. I don't need alcohol to dance. I do still want something to do with my hands though. So I am still one of the first people to go to the bar and get a soda water or a mocktail or a whatever. I'm one of the first people to order, because it's a safety blanket. It's a binky. It's a, what do you call it? A bubba. Bubba. But yeah, I'm now that I'm comfortable and I understand the social, how to be in a social setting. It's much easier. I don't know what my point was with that, other than that I
Well,
understand that it's really freaking hard. It
yeah,
can
because
be.
I mean, it's much easier now. In the beginning, it's still going to be uncomfortable. It's still where you
Different.
just jumping out. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, maybe it's not uncomfortable, but it is different.
Oh, I think it was uncomfortable. Yeah, no, it was
I
different
know
and
it was
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. You said different, so I was just like, oh, maybe she was fine going out on the dance floor right away, but I am still not.
I will
I wasn't when I was
start the
drinking.
party with some terrible dance moves. I
Yeah.
will start the Macarena off. You watch me go. I'll get the line dancing going. We're doing the Macarena. I need to learn more TikToks. I feel like that's the new Macarena.
Okay.
Sure, Em. Off you trot.
Yeah. I was just thinking of my daughter doing random shit like that.
Yeah, you do you, Em. I'll watch. I'll film.
Yeah. I know we had a tornado warning here recently, so it was like go in the basement, and I'm like, all right, we typically don't have those here, but I was like, okay, it looks pretty bad out. Let's just go downstairs, and so we were all just sitting down there. We didn't turn TV on or anything. We were just doing our own thing, reading, and my daughter was sitting there on the recliner, just doing. She was like sitting there thinking. I had my headphones on, but I also have my phone there, like
Filming
this,
her learning
like
a TikTok.
and I sent it to her immediately. She just looked over, and I'm like,
You did.
yeah. I thought you maybe wanted to check your form. I don't know. But where were we? Talking about the being comfortable, uncomfortable. And yeah, it's going to be different, right? It's going to be somewhat awkward to very awkward to just uncomfortable. And I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but you just think about it. Like if you showed up one way all the time with your friends or in this setting and you had alcohol and that helped you, or you might not even realize how much it helped you. And then you show up and you don't do that. It's going to feel different. So just being aware of that, even just to factor that in and come up with that plan ahead of time and come up with that exit strategy so that if you're starting to feel like a sad sack, then just leave, go home. Yeah. And there's not a bad thing. Go home, wake up the next morning and get back to
get a
good night's sleep and whatever you want. But yeah, it just goes back a little bit to what's the reason that you're doing it. Can you just be honest with them? I think I don't want to go all like cheesy honesty is the best policy, but what I found is telling somebody what you're doing, especially in advance. If someone's like, hey, you're coming over, is there anything in particular you want me to get? And you can just be like, oh no, I'm taking a break from drinking. I'll bring my own stuff. Don't worry about it. And oh, really? And have that, oh, come on, really? You can have that conversation in advance. That's a much easier thing because then they can wrap their head around it too.
Yeah, I do think it says a lot more about that person and their relationship or comfortability with alcohol or not drinking than it does about you and yours when they struggle to accept that you're not going to have a drink with them.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of giving them the heads up and giving them a couple of days to wrap their head around it, because that's a them problem.
Yeah. And
I say that so trivially and so easily, and I know it's a lot harder than that. But
yeah, it's like people when they say, which I hate this, when people who I'll say don't drink or are working on it, who have that matter of fact, like no is a complete sentence type of thing, which it is. Like you can just say, do you want anything? No. Or you can be abrupt and be like, I'm not drinking. And that's fine. That didn't work for me. So to be that matter of fact with it, I don't think it's helpful. If it works for you, great. Because I think it is good to keep it simple. And it is all about, you shouldn't have to justify what you want to do to someone else. That's just not common sense, but it's just like normal. That's if you are working on something for yourself, other people shouldn't really get a vote unless it impacts them, which people make it so that it impacts them. They make it about them and they say, oh, we're not going to have a drink together. To which I say,
but we always drink together. But we always,
I'm drinking.
I'm having a drink.
I'm having a drink right here. It doesn't matter. What do we do when we have a beer together or have a drink together? We're probably talking. We can still do that. But people want to be on that same level.
That's a funny point. I caught up with a mum from cheerleading that I haven't spoken with in ages. We used to enjoy minute wines together. And I've been around to their house. I think I went around to their house for like brunch when I was maybe 150 days. Like I was quite early on, and they toasted my sobriety. They had mimosas in their glass, and I just had orange juice. But they were like, "This is amazing, well done, MAE." Anyway, so I caught up with her. So I'm 700 days now. So I haven't really caught up. Our kids are in different cheerleading teams now, so we don't see each other so much. Anyway, and she's, "Oh, we should catch up for a drink." And she's like, "Or like something else." And I was like, "We can go out for a drink. I'll be drinking soda or mocktails or whatever. You can have whatever you want." So there's that. It's a weird, I guess it's just a social thing of going out for a drink means going out for an alcoholic drink. But I can still go out for a drink. I'm just not going to have alcohol in my cup. That's fine.
And I think some people do. What were you going to say there? Go ahead.
I was going to say I don't know what I was going to say. That thought has already gone. Carry on.
Okay. Now let's see if mine is still here or if it left as well. I think some people, I think I got it. Some people will maybe say that kind of thing because they don't know how you are with it. Oh, we can do something else. We don't have to do that. And it's, no, I can do it. And it's, oh, okay. Versus, because they don't want to, I don't know, let's not make you feel bad. It's, they don't, if they care about you, then they don't want to be like, oh, we don't have to do that. We can do something else.
I think, to be fair, in the beginning, I probably, if someone invited me out for a drink in the beginning, I probably would have been like, okay.
Oh, yeah,
like,
no.
I would have been like, sorry. I don't
know. Yeah. Yeah, we can go to coffee at noon at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. They don't know. They don't know what you're comfortable with yet.
Yeah.
They don't know where you're at. I guess it's like with anything. If you went to a gym and you could turn it to a gym or go to a gym with your, why do I always go back to the gym? Anyway, and you're turning up with a buddy and they go, okay, we're going to deadlift 100 kilos. Well, we're going to do deadlifts. And you go, okay, they don't know whether you can deadlift 100 kilos or whether you need to start with the bar. They have no idea because they've not seen you in a long time. They've not trained with you. So you've got to educate them to a certain extent of, I can do, this is what I can do. These are my limits. These are my boundaries. I can go to the bar and have an alcohol-free drink. Or no, I cannot. That's not where I'm at. That's not what I can tolerate. Or I can go to a 4th of July party and be alcohol-free. Or no, I cannot. I'm going to spend 4th of July doing something that feels good for me, which is
deadlifting 100 kilos.
Deadlifting, it is not 100 kilos. Oh, that's the goal. I'm up to 80. Not far off.
God, you're going to make me, now I got to figure out kilos.
160 pounds-ish.
Oh, okay. 100.
You said that's light. It is not. I don't weigh 80 kilos.
No, 100 kilograms?
100 kilograms. No, 100 kilograms is like 200 pounds. 80 kilograms is like 160 pounds.
Yeah, because I was going to say 100 kilograms is 220. 80.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to. My daughter's been deadlifting and stuff too. I'll text her and see where she's at. Yeah. She's been getting into that, which is cool. But okay, sorry for that. Conversion tangent. I was trying. You're talking about the deadlifting in the gym. Another thing. I was thinking of like, oh, I tell someone I'm gluten free, and because of my health or because I have to for whatever reason, and they're like, oh, let's go get pizza. I was trying to think of as you were coming up with yours. I was like, oh no, sorry, we won't do that. I'm like, no, it's fine. They have a gluten-free pizza option. I'll go and get that. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's a horrible example, but it was just funny because as you were talking about, I don't know why I have gym pizza all of a sudden floating in my brain.
I've had the same experience with, like, at a work function, end of year Christmas party, they took us to a seafood restaurant. I don't eat seafood. I think it's disgusting. But I didn't kick up a fuss like, oh, I'm not coming to the Christmas party because we're going to a seafood restaurant. I was like, all right, there'll be fries on the menu. There'll be something. There'll be fries. There'll be a salad. There'll be something. There's always something you can do. So just because I don't eat seafood doesn't mean I'm not going to go. But I guess that's a boundary that I have, or that's a tolerance that I have. Is it a boundary?
What?
Or it's a lack of a boundary, or like that I will go to a seafood restaurant even though I don't eat seafood. I don't. That's.
I don't know if it's a boundary.
Tolerance.
Yeah, that's
a limit. level.
You'll just it's an option for you.
It's something that I
Yeah.
can accept. It's an acceptable experience for me.
Yeah. Obviously, most people aren't going to be like, come on, try the lobster. It's good. I just think
You would be surprised. People are like, not even lobster? Not even prawns.
yeah.
Come on.
I'm thinking of
Like,
Ange and I went to see Jim Gaffigan when we were in Vegas one time, and I just remember this one bit he does on, he doesn't like seafood either, and he's talking about like crabs or lobster, like calling them like the spiders of the sea or something like that. Talk about, everybody's like, oh, lobster's so good, lobster's so good. He's doing like a, I don't know, that wasn't a Boston accent, just for everybody on here. I was just mashing a bunch of things together. But he's like, lobster's so good. And he's, look, I like butter as much as the next person, because that's all it is. It's just a butter delivery system that you have there with the lobster. I always think
just don't
about
want
that.
to pay $100 for it to get that butter in my mouth.
Yep.
I can have it with bread.
Yeah,
Much
there you
cheaper.
go.
My husband has actually done that for me one year on one of our wedding anniversaries. We went out to the bougiest seafood restaurant in Auckland, and we knew the head waiter, maitre d' guy. And so it was when I was still drinking. He was wine pairing, and he was making suggestions. And so my husband was like, "Look, if you're gonna eat seafood, let's go and get some really good seafood so you can see how good it is. Because you've probably just eaten like overcooked fish at home on the barbecue, and it's all deep fried from the fish and chip shop, and it's shit." Okay, so we go out and we get the most expensive frickin' everything on the menu. And he said, "It's good, right?" And I was like, "Meh, I'd rather have chicken." And he was like, rather have a steak. Like, it's just, it's not that I find it like some seafood I find disgusting, but I was just like, meh, for like this, I don't know, $150 dish, I'd rather have a steak.
Yeah. Like when people are like, oh, oysters are so good. And I'm just like, okay, I've had them. They're okay. As much as I don't want to get gross on here, but it's like, it's as much as
had many things.
Yeah, I've had the snock before, so I'm good. I don't need any more of those. I can take those and pretend to like them, just like I used to do with cigars. I like cigars. I realized that whenever I stopped drinking was like, oh yeah, when I don't have alcohol to pair this with to
not so much
kill the taste, this is gross. And I smell, which I knew that before, but it's not like I did that twice a year. So it wasn't like something I did on a regular basis. But yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like starter dishes, I would much rather have a jalapeno popper than an oyster. Half the price, maybe more, and much tastier.
Yes. So
I know you love my sound effects.
Emma does her own sound effects too, in case anybody's wondering. We don't splice those in.
It's just Emma being Emma. Oh.
So
where do we go from here?
Seafood, lifting weights. I don't know. We were hammering on the how do we show up? What do we say? What are those things that? How do we show up differently? So there's the friends piece of it. There's the other people side of things. And then I kind of always like to think of I think sometimes we, or a lot of people, I don't know, I did. And sometimes I was surprised because I didn't think of this for some reason. And I was so worried about everybody else. I didn't think about my own cravings. I was like, I'm not drinking, so I have to figure out what I'm going to say to everybody else. And then I would get into a situation and be like, oh shit, I want to drink. And so then it's okay. What are the things that you do whenever that thought came up? Your own cravings in that situation.
Like, how do you navigate that? Yeah, I could murder a bottle of wine right now. It's not the best way of saying it, Emma, but that's what goes through my head.
Yeah.
I find changing the channel, like changing the environment, physically removing myself from whatever is going on right there.
Yeah.
And it may be like going and sitting in the car and throwing a tantrum in the car, or going home completely. But it may just be you're at an event and you're with a group of people It may just be moving away from that group of people and finding another group of people, or it may be going to the bathroom and just having a moment. You don't have to physically leave the whole event. You can just be like, this group of people is not helpful right now, so I'm going to physically remove myself. Or if you're not at an event, you're by yourself or you're at home and you're having that craving, how do I change the channel on that? I can going to bed was always my one. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, or go to my meetings, go to bed. I love bed. Or going for a walk. I'm big on walking. That's one of my two favorite tools. Going to bed, going for a walk. Getting out, getting a little bit meditative with your walk. Whether you're listening to a podcast or music or an audiobook whilst you're walking, maybe you're
or nature.
Call it like a solo walk.
Solo walk?
Sensory deprived walk or something like where you don't have any music in. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like you don't have your earbuds in and you're actually just enjoying the sound of nature.
Yeah.
I don't have that, not so much that luxury. I live not too far from a main road. The nature's not prominent.
I'm in a residential area. We have some woods here and stuff like that that I can get that a little bit. But yeah, because if I am doing that often enough, I know there will be a time every so often where I go to put my headphones in and I'm just like, ugh, I can't bring myself to just listen to another thing. And I just walk without my headphones on. And those are like some of the best walks because, you get to that point where we're made with the phones and everything to consume. We're just trying to consume everything. Yeah. I'm trying to read all the books. If I'm not reading a book at home and I'm going for a walk, I'm going to have an audiobook on and listening to that at 1.25 speed to 1.5 speed. Not really. I try and slow it down. Depends on how slow they read. But yeah, having that sensory walk, we'll call it. It's not sensory deprivation because that would be putting the headphones on, I would think.
Or to be putting like earplugs in and going blindfolded. No noise.
There you go.
Don't do that.
That reminds me, I have to book one. I have a couple of those, what is it, flotation pod sessions.
I've never done that. I want to, though.
Yeah, I've done it. It's the first time I thought I was going to die, but that's only because it was too hot in there and I felt like I couldn't breathe because I fell asleep and I woke up in a couple times. I dozed off and I woke up and it was just so steamy in there. And I was like, I couldn't get enough air. So now I learned to prop it open just a little bit to let some of that air in.
One of our friends did it and was trying to relax, ADHD friends trying to relax, and then she had an itch, went to itch her eye, and it's salt water, and then so the whole time she was just like, my eye is burning.
Yep, might as well get out. You might as well get out right then, and there's usually a shower in the room. And just rinse off.
There was no relaxation happening.
Yeah.
But the whole time with ADHD, she's I don't need to do this. Brain's going, and then she itched her eye, and it was all over Red Rover.
The changing. Did you say? How did you say it? Changing the channel.
Changing the channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Changing the channel. What's going on?
Think yourself it's like a pinball machine. Oh, craving. Boom. Redirect. Bounce off of it, and especially if you're at a social event, let's just say get together with friends. That's what I'm talking. I think in summer, but any kind of event. But how can you go do something else? It has to be you remove yourself. Don't sit with it in that same spot. If you're around friends and they're talking, and all of a sudden you're like, they're all drinking and you're sitting there looking at it, or you're half listening to the conversation, but all you're thinking about is why am I the only one not drinking here? What? And then those cravings are coming. Just, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go get some food. I'm going to go get yourself another drink. Go in the car, like you said, or there's plenty of times, depending on whose house I'm at, I can just go in and somebody's watching TV and I'll sit down and maybe fall asleep for 10 minutes. But redirecting and using your HALT. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Get some food. Grab that. Try and distract yourself enough to shove some food in your mouth. Go rest your eyes for a second. Get a different drink, if you're thirsty, and just try and redirect and then regroup and focus on, okay, it's fine. We expected this. Am I good? What else? What happened there? Get curious about it and just be like, where did that come from? And it could just be a logical thing. Everybody was drinking around me. And so I thought about it because that's what I usually do. And then play the tape forward and think about, okay, if I don't do that right now, how am I going to feel tomorrow? What's going to be the result of this? And what's my plan for the rest of the time that I'm here? It can be different, obviously, if said get together is at your house, that's different. But then I always like to think of if it's at your house, that's home court advantage. I'll just go to my room then and just hop on the bed for 5 minutes and just close my eyes. So
Nice. And your poor wife is like, where did he go?
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, just finding a
Cringe.
place to hide. Yeah.
You mentioned halt hungry and very lonely tired. And I think in a social setting, food is such a great distraction. You can be almost in the middle, like someone can be in the middle of a conversation. And if you're having that moment of, oh my gosh, this is too much, I want to drink, you can be like, did you see sausages are out? I'm hungry. I'm going to go get a snack. You can almost not interrupt, but it's always a good excuse to leave a conversation. Like relieve the situation. I'm going to go get some food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's just my ADHD that I haven't managed to control yet, but
No, I take any opportunity to
go get food.
If someone says something, I just don't want to be there anymore talking to that person, and someone says something or I see something like, oh, did they put the food out? And then I just walk away.
Yeah. And we're done. Yeah.
And they just move on to the next person, and it's fine because that's what you do. I was probably more rude when I was drinking because I was oblivious to who's around me. Yeah. But yeah, that playing the tape forward, remembering why you're doing it, having the exit strategy, all like important tips. Exit strategy. Yeah. You're going to someplace, set a time limit and be like, and if you tell them, great. If you can make something up, I got to go do this. Sometimes it's hard to lie about that because maybe you're on vacation and you're like, yeah, we're all going back to the same house. No, you're not doing that. But having an exit strategy, even if it's just to take a break, make yourself useful. I would do that. Oh, you need something from the store? I'll go grab it. That type of thing.
Oh, the dishes are piling up. Let me just help. I'll just put a load on, or I'll just rinse these, or I'll make yourself useful. Or the fire needs stoking. You've got a brazier out there. The fire needs. I'll go get the firewood, or I'll stoke the fire, or I'll whatever it is. Make yourself useful. But also that having an extra strategy of planning. Okay, I'll turn up at 7. That sounds so late for me. That's almost bedtime. I'll turn up at 7 and I'll stay for 2 hours, and then at 9 o'clock after 2 hours I'll check in with myself. And is that the time that I want to leave, or can I do another hour? But setting yourself that expectation, or that maybe 2 hours is too long. Maybe it's only an hour. Like I'll stay for an hour and then we'll see how I feel. And giving yourself permission to go home after an hour or after whatever that time limit is. If you're having a great time, cool, stay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll check in with myself again in another hour or in another half hour or in another whatever it is. Yeah, just checking in with giving yourself permission to go, having that mindset of going in with the mindset of I'm not going to drink and I'm going to stay for 2 hours and then I'll see how we're going, or going in with the mindset of I will have 2 drinks total, 2 standard beers total, and I will leave, and after 2 hours I will check in and either stay for another hour or go home, or giving yourself that parameter of, or going in with the mindset of this is how the night is going to pan out for me.
Yeah.
Instead of going in being like, okay, we're going to a party, let's see. But let's see.
Yeah, yeah. And you brought up this is if you're doing damp January, if you're cutting back, mindfully moderating, whatever level you're at, or whatever you say you're doing, if I'm just doing dry July just for this month, whether I'm alcohol free, whether I'm cutting back to a certain level, whether I want to moderate. With moderation, it's one of the biggest things I think is delay the start time. Just because especially if it's a summer event and maybe it starts at noon, or maybe you're out on a boat, or maybe you're stuck, then you can decide, should I go to this type of thing? But that's obviously an option too, is to be like, yeah, I can't make it today, or you know what, I'm not feeling it. Oh, this came up. Now other people know our business.
COVID's a great one as well, isn't it? Oh, sorry, I got COVID. I can't come. I'll make everyone sick.
Nowadays, that's fine.
Who hasn't got COVID?
Yeah, but delay it, because once you're on the clock, if it's especially if it's a long time, if you can push that back and just get in and get comfortable to the situation, I think that's important, because that's a lot of times like why we do that in the first place. So coming in and having those, I would walk in with a iced coffee or whatever in my hand, and be like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to finish this and I'll grab something. And coming in with a beverage of your choice that you can, no, I'm good. I'll get something later. Or yeah, I'm thirsty. Do you just have a seltzer or whatever? The sparkling water, I meant. Yeah. I'll just grab one of those for now, and I'll figure out what I want in a minute. I brought these for you. I could add to bring alcohol-free options that you like. But yeah, like pushing that back, still having the exit strategy, and capping it too. Yeah, that time limit I think is good. And like you said, you can stay longer if you're feeling good and you're having a good time and no worries. Great.
Check in with yourself. Get curious. I'm big on getting curious. If you are in a situation where you do feel triggered or it's too much for you or something, get curious about, okay, that was a trigger. Do I now want to avoid that situation next time, or do I want to, what could I do differently to help navigate that trigger or navigate that situation? Is this a situation that I can handle better or differently, or is it a situation that I want to avoid in the future? So get curious about, oh, that was uncomfortable. Okay, why was that uncomfortable? What did I do? What did I not do? What could I do differently? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And big on getting curious about why we do what we do.
Yeah, and because I think I said that too, like get curious, because we know it all. Like we think we know, and we don't get curious. So we were like, oh, I just, because everybody's drinking, blah, blah, blah. But if we look at it and dive into it a little, and it's not like you have to sit there and analyze every little minute detail, but dive into it a little bit more and just question it. Like, what was it about that? Maybe, oh, it's because they were drinking my favorite, whatever. Maybe that's what
cracked
came
open
up.
A bottle of
yeah. And maybe it was that. Maybe it was just the topic of conversation. They were talking about going on a trip to the Bourbon Trail. Example of my brothers, and I've shared that before, where they went, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to go. I could hang out and it would have been fine. But maybe that was the topic of conversation. I was feeling bad about it because I wasn't sure if I would go. And so it wasn't just because of a certain situation. Maybe it was what was talked about, what people were drinking, who was there, or any number of things. But don't brush it off as just, oh, it was just this, unless you've thought through it and say, yeah, it was just because everybody's drinking. Okay, if that's it, then great, and that's fine. But having that knowledge is important, because if we're not aware of what it is, then how can we make any changes, short term or long term?
I think another great tool that just popped into my head, I don't know what you said that made me think of this, but having that plan, and I'm only going to stay 2 hours, or my time limit is 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, but telling someone, so either someone that's at the event or someone that's not at the event. If you can have a wing woman or a wingman at the event, amazing strategy, 10 out of 10 recommend. But ideally telling another person, and it's going to be holding yourself accountable, because you have declared to someone, I'm only going to have 2 drinks and I'm only going to stay 2 hours, or I'm not going to drink and I'm going to stay 2 hours. And they go, okay, cool. I heard you. I got you. Yeah, that's your plan. So saying that out loud to someone is going to hold yourself accountable, whether that's someone within the sobriety community or the Reframe community that you're in, or whatever other support community you're in, whether it's your spouse, a friend. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, maybe you pop a note in your phone or in a journal, or just making that, I guess, declaration that this is the plan. And it's about acknowledging that this is the plan. This is what I've decided.
Yeah.
Decision is made. We don't have to renegotiate that decision.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can renegotiate that tomorrow. That's how I looked at it too.
Yeah.
Like when people say never question the decision, I'm like, I question the decision all the time, but I'll question it tomorrow. That was how I looked at it. Again, it's just like a little mind thing, but
I decided
I'm like,
today I'm not going to drink.
I decided today I'm not going to do it. Tomorrow, let's open it up for discussion and a vote and all of that. And I was honest about that, where I was like, you can change this tomorrow. Like if you want to, but you have to make it to tomorrow. And then I talked about it the next day, and the next morning, I was always like, nope, I'm good. I just needed to get through that. And the more you do that, the more you see, okay, I can just push through and tell yourself, like, I just got to get through tonight. If you're having that a struggle. But what did you say there? That
wingman, write it down, journal.
Yeah, wingman, write it down. Journal.
Notes on your phone.
Oh yeah,
declaring it.
Yeah, I've heard people come on to like a Reframe community meeting, and for having that accountability to somebody else, having that to yourself, good. Write that down. This is what I'm doing. But also putting it out there to someone else it adds that level of accountability that can be helpful. So there's plenty of people who come on like a community meeting and be like, I have a wedding this weekend. I'm just coming on. Here's my plan. They share it for accountability. I will come back on Monday and let you know how it went.
Share how it went. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those shares.
Yeah. And I'm going to blast this out to everybody here. And yeah, if you don't see me, feel free to call me out on it. That's not the easiest thing to do, but it doesn't have to be that either. It can just be with a friend or having the wing woman. I would tell my wife to, like, hey, anytime you get up to get yourself a drink, make sure I have a Coke Zero or whatever in my hand, please. And thank you. Keep me stocked. If I'm stuck talking with somebody, if I'm in the pool or whatever, just bring it over. That's whatever it is. If you're getting one, get me one type of thing. Yeah.
10 out of 10 recommend a wing woman or a wingman for an event. And also like an SOS. If someone's not at the event, get them to give you a call at 9 o'clock. How you doing? Do you need an excuse to leave? Yep. Yeah. Or maybe, no, I'm good. Can you call in another hour? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Or send the bat signal to them. Be like, if you need it, like just text real quick, work it out in advance, text real quick. And then all of a sudden your phone
lights up. If I send the clown emoji, that means I need help. Yeah.
Then if I send this, just call my phone and then I'll be like, oh, I'll be right back.
I gotta go. Yeah.
And then walk away and be like, okay, thanks, bye. And then sit there and pretend you're talking on the phone or talk to them. But
yeah, all good tools, all good tactics.
Yep.
All good tips.
If you read through all the tangents, I think we covered.
We did a loop-de-loop. We got there.
Yeah.
So it is time for, what did you learn this week? What's something that Kevin learned this week that is not necessarily anything to do with why we're here?
Yeah, I was trying to think of this, and I don't know. And I can never think stuff that's not typically like this week either, as usually what comes to my mind. But I'll say I was
this week's
years old. I almost said this week's years old. I was this old. I finally came to the conclusion that just all my tattoos are going to hurt from now on. I got and I get them on not good places. Like I just got one on my hand, and I've got them on my chest, and I've got there's just
the bits where people are like, that's going to hurt. You're like, yeah, chuck a tattoo on it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's go. But I had hopes for this. And usually I'm like, oh, I don't care if it hurts. That's the point of it. Not the point of it, but you're going to have that.
It's going to hurt a little. There's going to be some discomfort.
Actually, early on meaning when I was first alcohol free for early on there, welcomed the feeling. Like it was almost like it was cathartic more so. Now maybe I don't need that catharsis and it just hurts. But yeah, This week's year. Why stop saying this week's years old? I was this week
It works.
old. When it's just
Tattoos hurt now.
whenever I was
You're
first
getting
getting them, it's tough. You got to grit it. You can't show that. Now I'm just like, this is painful. But yeah, close to the knuckles. That's the
just the whole top of the hand, top of the foot, thin skin, close to all the tendons and bones and nerve endings and
yeah. I took Ange with me because I wanted her to, because this tattoo is for my mom and I wanted her to prove it. Usually whenever I go, I send pictures and I'm like, come on, get back to me. I'm like, you're going this time and you need to come. And so I'm like, I'm just slowly trying to desensitize you to tattoos so that we get you in. See, it's not that bad. Ashley's nice. You like Ashley. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, my last tattoo, you were with me when I got my last tattoo. And my husband came along. It was the whole party. And I was like, you going to stay? And he's like, I'll go get something to eat with these guys. And he took off. And I don't know, I haven't actually asked him whether it was because he didn't want to watch because he's squeamish, or he didn't want to see me in pain, or I know he doesn't like tattoos. He's not a tattoo guy. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't.
You don't want to look at you disappointingly because you were getting a tattoo and he doesn't like them.
This tattoo I got, it's his constellation. So like I got it for him, but it's for me. It's about our relationship and our connection. But it's like giving someone a gift of knowing that they don't drink alcohol and still giving them a bowl of champagne. Be like, this is for you.
Yeah.
It's not for me. This
was totally for me because I wanted a tattoo. Yeah. This was the tattoo that I could justify.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's he doesn't see me in pain. I never like seeing someone in pain. This one wasn't actually that sore. There were a couple of bits. I
don't think Ange cared. She saw me.
You were in pain.
She saw me gritting my
you're an idiot.
teeth, and that's funny because this was. I was like, I've always wanted a tattoo on my hand, but I'm like, that's a big step, and so I was like, I'll eventually get that. I don't know what I want, but then I had this idea for my mom, and so I told Ange about hand tattoo, and I told her that in the past. And she's like, yeah, you know how I feel about those. And I'm like, okay, hear me out. It's going to be for my mom. And she's like, you're backing me into a corner here. I can't really say no to this, can I? Without being about coming across bad. I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
Gotcha.
You can't.
Checkmate.
Yeah, checkmate. Yep. So I don't know if that wasn't really a nugget, but
it was a realization that tattoos now hurt.
Yeah. Whereas before it was fine and it was more, I think, the experience and it didn't matter. It was supposed to hurt. Now I have no problem. And I was always like, oh, you gotta be tough and it's fine and all this. And now I'm just like, ow. And I'm fine with that.
I don't think I've ever had a tattoo that,
that didn't hurt?
Of my tattoos have hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like my brother said the one time. I went on a string of really bad areas of where I got it, and like the inside of my arm is one of the.
Yeah, no, thank you. Ouch.
That's so sensitive in there, and like my chest and my back, and I thought my back would have been fine for one, but it was like right by my armpit over here, and she touched me to hold me steady and then go to tattoo it, but when she did that, my body was like tickle.
Yeah.
And it was sensitive and it made me tickle. And then it was pain. And that was one of the worst sessions I ever had because my body didn't know what to do. Like it was tickle, tickle, pain. My body's like, all right, make up your mind. But it was over and over again for like 2 hours. And I was, how would you say it in down under, shattered maybe, or
shattered? Yeah.
Yeah. I was shattered after that
one. Knackered. Yeah.
Knackered. That was the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't like getting tickled either. It makes me so angry. So that would be anger, frustration, and pain all in one.
And I paid for it. Literally, I paid for it to do this to me.
I wanted it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. No pain, no gain.
Exactly.
I don't have a nugget. I was going to say, I haven't learned anything this week. I'm sure I have. I've had a really productive week. It's just me and the big kid at home this week. School holidays. She had a school ball or a school prom. So that was a big event. She had a cheerleading competition, another big event. It's been a big week, but I can't think of what I'm tired. I'm tired. That's what I learned. I'm tired.
Yeah. That was this week's, years, months, days old when
I
I'm
discovered
just
I'm tired. No, I'm always tired.
I discovered this week too. Here's a nugget that is probably more appropriate for this week is I discovered that if you go to bed early, it's easier to wake up early. Yeah.
How did you get to this age in your life where this is what you learn?
Yeah. Because I was in bed last night at 9 o'clock. I didn't go to bed at 9 o'clock. Like I read.
But you were in bed reading. Yeah, relaxing.
Reading, and then I put my headphones on. I did the whole 20-minute meditation.
Cool.
And I woke up at 4:50, like half hour before my alarm was going to go off, with the little 5-pound dog staring at me, shaking because I acknowledged her and she was ready to wake up. Yay! And I was like, I'm wide awake right now. I wonder what time it is because I've been putting my phone across the room too, so I don't have to snooze. And so I'm like, damn it. All right, I'll get up, go to the bathroom, check the time, and if it's close enough, I'll get up. It was close enough. But I was like wide awake. I'm like, all right, imagine that.
Who would have thought? If you go to bed early and you get enough rest, you're raring to go in the morning.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I learned this week I should not start a new series after dinner because then I want to finish the new series before I fall asleep, which means I'm not reading and relaxing and unwinding and I'm staying awake too late and then I'm not wanting to get up early and go to the gym. Yep. All right, that could be my nugget too. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Thanks, friend.
Sure. We'll see if I do that tonight as I'm editing this.
See you on my meeting at 3:30 a.m.?
No, I've...
Hopefully not.
One time I was editing the podcast. It was close enough to 3:30 a.m. where I just like, all right, I'll stay up another half hour and go mess with them. And
troll me in my meeting.
Yeah. I turn my camera on eventually.
This is what Reframers don't see, is that behind the scenes, Kevin and I will jump on each other's meetings and troll each other. It's a great time.
I'm iPhone.
Yeah, iPhone. And try and make each other crack.
Yeah. You're reading the intro and I'm just sitting there like throwing stuff out.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Should we close it out? All right.
You got the exit.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share with those that you feel may benefit from it. I want to thank you all again for listening, and be sure to come back again for another episode. Have a great day.
Bye, friends.